Hi, welcome to The Road Least Traveled. My name is Suli and I'm your host. In this podcast, I share with you what I've learned from my journey of self-awareness and spiritual awakening, and also some simple and practical tips to help you in your own journey. So stay with me. Let's work this thing out together. So today I want to talk about our inner child. Now, I know there are tons of psychologists and therapists doing inner child work. I'm not talking about that because personally, I've had no experience with a professional. But what I want to share with you is something that worked for me. And I hope it resonates with you and that you might find it helpful. It's actually really simple to do. Now, I'm not saying that therapists and psychologists' methods don't work. Of course, I'm not saying that. And I am not a therapist myself. I just experimented and made a lot of mistakes along the way. And one day I just discovered something that really helped me. And I just want to share it with you. After going through years and years of mental anguish, I searched and searched, and I was searching my whole life. I mean, I was a traveler, not as a tourist, but as the bare bones backpacking sort of travel. And I did that for decades until one day I realized that I was actually searching for something, except I didn't know what I was searching for. And one day it occurred to me that maybe I should, instead of taking the road less traveled, I should perhaps try the road least traveled, which is a journey within. And so, where shall I start? And I thought, well, start from as far back as I can possibly remember, which was when I was, say, 3 years old. I adopted my child self. I didn't know what else to do to soothe and to heal this child that had gone through a lot, actually, that created so much confusion in me that I just didn't know how to break free. I swear to you, for most of my life, I really believed I was crazy. And one day a thought came to me and I thought, hey, why don't I parent this child? So you know what I did? I went through a pile of old photographs and I found one of me when I was 3 years old. And I thought, okay, I'm going to adopt you. And so this was my child, which I took care of every day. I spoke with her, took her wherever I went, and we did a lot of things together, like cooking and gardening and cleaning, just normal daily things, except I was talking to her the whole time and I was teaching her. But the best thing was that I listened to her because she started talking to me. Now, I know it sounds creepy, but it's actually not. Just give it a try. It's actually quite sweet. It's actually quite nice to have this child to take care of. And sometimes the child would be scared and I would say, I'm here. I'm here to take care of you. You don't have to be scared. I will always be here to support you. I will always be here to take care of you. You have nothing to worry about. And whatever the child wanted to say, I would listen and comfort her. Sometimes we have fun. I make her laugh. And sometimes we'd go out for a drive and buy her an ice cream, and we'd have ice cream together in the car. At first, it seemed a bit silly, but good thing I persevered, because after 2 years, the child just disappeared. And I started missing her, but then I thought, no. This means that I have successfully parented her. And she doesn't need me anymore, which is a good thing. And any form of missing her would mean that I was missing the past. So I let her go, and I thought, the child has grown up. The child is now me. So, what I want you to do is to try this. I promise you it's going to be good. So you look back and you think of this cute little boy or girl who was you. If it helps, you can find a photo of your child self and show him or her your house or apartment, your room. Show her something that you did with your own hands, like something simple, like maybe plant a seed and watch it grow into a little sapling, and tell the child, look, you did this. Show her around your work, show her everything that you have done, and tell her or him, you did this. Aren't you so proud of yourself? You did this. And feel how the child responds. Everyone's path is different. I can't tell you how to parent this child, but somewhere in you, you know, because that's what you wanted. Give the child everything that you wanted that you didn't get. Take that little boy or girl for walks and just make her or him feel heard and loved. Sometimes the questions can be really silly, but just answer anyway. I mean, it's a good laugh. And sometimes when he or she is feeling scared, just say, I'm here. There's nothing to worry about. I'll always be here for you, and I'll always love you. You don't have anything to worry about. I'll tell you a funny story. Well, it wasn't so funny at that time, but I remember I was just 4 years old, and I was obsessed with gloves and hats. I don't know why, for some reason. So one day I decided to make a pair of gloves, and I took some remnant cloth and I started drawing the outline of my hands on this piece of cloth. And then after that, I cut it and stitched it. But you know what? Glove after glove, I must have made about 2 or 3 pairs that, after stitching them and I'd flip them inside out, they'd always be too small. And I couldn't get my hand into this glove. And I just didn't know why, but I kept on making them anyway. So after the third glove that didn't fit, I suddenly had a eureka moment. I thought, I'm just going to make the outline a bit bigger. Look, I was 4, okay, cut me some slack. So I was so excited about this discovery, or rather this eureka moment, that I got a fresh piece of remnant cloth. I think it was like an old bed sheet or something like that. And I drew a bigger outline of my hand. And as I was starting to stitch, I was so excited. I remember I was just so focused on stitching it, stitching the edges. And at that point, my mother came to me and asked me, do you know what our car registration number is? And I honestly didn't even hear it. I kind of heard it, but I wasn't going to be distracted. I was at the edge of a breakthrough. And I was so excited about it. I was like a hawk focusing on my glove. And the next thing you know, I was dragged by the ear downstairs to the car and made to repeat the car number while another boy eating an ice cream was staring at me. I was crying and choking while repeating the car number again and again and again. And that boy kept staring at me. I can still remember that number, though I'd chop off my left hand to forget it. Anyway, that was my first experience in humiliation. And I learned that it was wrong to be so focused on something. I remember thinking, I must be the most selfish child on earth. When I came back upstairs, I can't remember what happened. I don't know. I couldn't find the gloves. I couldn't find my sewing kit. It was as though they just disappeared. Now, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming anyone or anything that happened to me in my past. This podcast is really to encourage people to go back into the past and to face painful experiences, unfair experiences, or even abusive experiences without judgment. Because judgment doesn't do us any good. It just keeps us stuck. Look at them objectively. Look at them from a positive light. I know it's hard, and I'm not minimizing what you experienced as a child. I'm just saying that when you're ready, when you're strong enough, go back and face those demons and try to make peace with them. And I'll tell you how I made peace with it. And this is thanks to my counselor. She said, "You finished those gloves." And I thought, well, I never thought of that. I mean, this is decades ago, okay, when I was 4 years old. So I got some remnant cloth. It was an old shirt, brushed cotton shirt. And yeah, I made those gloves. I made those gloves 40 years later, and I finished them. And I still have them. I keep them in a safe place, and once in a while I take them out and I wear them, and I remind myself I closed that loop. Now, out of curiosity or for the sake of self-knowledge, you might want to explore how an incident like that could have affected you throughout your life and how it influenced the decisions that you made, what path you took, and all that. Yeah, it's okay to look into it, but I think what's more important is to close that loop, like what I did with the gloves. I mean, it sounded like such an odd idea for her to suggest it, but it was a really, really good thing to do. How did it make me feel? Um, it made me feel that I took back control of that situation, that my single-minded focus on making the gloves wasn't wrong. It wasn't a bad thing to do. It made me feel that I wasn't selfish, and it made me feel like the interruption that affected a lot of my decisions and a lot of how my mind worked was finally getting some kind of closure, was finally getting some kind of acknowledgement. I don't know. I mean, for you, it's not gloves, it'll be something else. And your experience will be very personal to you. All I'm saying is that we can go back into the past and rectify it and rescue that little child and parent that little child in a way that you were never acknowledged or heard or loved. You know, you give it to that child. You have all the resources now to do that, to go back in time and to right all the wrongs that was done to you. Nobody else can do that for you. I mean, yeah, sure, friends, therapists can help you get there, but ultimately you have to do the work yourself. Nobody would know your inner child as intimately as you do. The process and the feeling of parenting the child that was you is priceless. The journey that you go through together, all the things that you wish you were told or given, whether it was love or support or even just as simple as acknowledgement and understanding, is something you can give to this child now. Now, I want to stress a point that I'm not blaming anyone, okay? I don't want to badmouth anyone. And there's a huge difference between bad mouthing and really looking at something for what it is or what it was. And blame without a positive outlook is damaging to yourself and others. But looking objectively at a situation where someone hurt you for the sake of your own mental health is life-changing. Now, you have to know the difference between having a victim mentality and toxic positivity, where you delude yourself by saying that everything's okay. I mean, everything's not okay, and it's okay not to be okay. You just have to look at it for what it is, because if you don't, you'll just be burying all the demons in a shallow grave, and one day they'll just claw their way out. Try to look at a hurtful situation objectively, as though your child self was someone else, and the adult you is now protecting that child with all the resources, courage, and kindness that you now have. Today, I want you to start by telling your child self the story of your life and see where it goes from there. Well, that's all I have for you today. I really hope you found it useful. All the best to you. Take care of yourself. Take care of that little kid. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. If you found this helpful, please share it.